$10 billion spent on a wall that engineers openly admit will never stop the biggest tsunami, nearly 400 kilometers of concrete along Japan's coastline. Some call it the greatest disaster prevention project ever attempted. Others call it the prison wall, a barrier that stole the ocean from entire towns. But this wasn't built to stop the sea. It was built to fight something far more dangerous: time. On March 11, 2011, Japan learned that a few extra minutes could be the difference between an empty street and a city that no longer exists. Japan's war with the ocean didn't start in 2011. It started over 1,000 years earlier, on a strip of land with mountains behind it and one of the most violent oceans on Earth in front. The Jogan tsunami of 869 sent seawater kilometers inland, across what is now the Sendai Plain. Modern geology has confirmed the ancient accounts were accurate. This coast was being hit by catastrophic tsunamis long before modern Japan existed. Villages carved warnings into hillside stones. Do not build below this point. Many people ignored them. Over generations, homes crept back down toward the water, toward the fishing and the view. That choice would resurface, in the worst possible way. Today, in many towns along that same coast, you can't see the ocean at all. A wall of reinforced concrete fills the horizon. Locals call it the prison wall, because it imprisons something older than the concrete, the view, and if the tsunami is big enough, the wall won't even stop it. It'll go right over. So why build it at all? To answer that, you have to understand what these walls are actually fighting, because most people picture a tsunami completely wrong. A tsunami isn't a curling wave. It's the entire ocean moving. Push all the water in a bathtub to one side, and everything rises together. Now do that to the Pacific. When a massive earthquake lifts or drops the seafloor, billions of tons of water are displaced almost instantly. That energy crosses the ocean at jetliner speeds, then slows and compresses near shore into a rising, unstoppable flood carrying cars, ships, entire neighborhoods in its current. The first wave often isn't the biggest. You can't outbuild something that behaves like a moving mountain. Build it higher stops being the answer. Japan already knew that seawalls could fail. In 1896, a tsunami on the Sanriku coast killed more than 20,000 people. In 1933, another hit the same region. Japan rebuilt, stronger, higher, and for decades it worked. Confidence grew that the ocean had finally been tamed. Confidence like that is exactly what nature tests. At 2:46 p.m. on March 11, 2011, the ground shook for nearly 6 minutes. Then the ocean did something stranger. It disappeared. Harbors emptied, boats tilted onto exposed seabed. People walked closer to look. It wasn't retreating. Thousands of kilometers of ocean had just been compressed into a single moving force, and it was gathering strength, coming back not as a wave, but as a wall of momentum. Within minutes, entire towns vanished beneath black water, carrying ships, houses, bridges, and fuel tanks. Nearly 20,000 people died, 2,500 went missing, and the tsunami triggered the Fukushima nuclear crisis. It also destroyed something less visible: decades of engineering confidence. Footage of seawalls vanishing beneath the water made the conclusion look obvious. They failed. They didn't, not the way it looked. A seatbelt doesn't prevent the crash. It changes what survives it. Most seawalls were built for tsunamis, expected once every few decades, what engineers now call Level 1 events. 2011 was Level 2, rare, catastrophic, beyond what any wall can promise to stop. Near Kamaishi, a breakwater sunk 63 meters into the seabed, the deepest ever built, a Guinness World Record, took the full force of the tsunami, and was declared a failure the moment the footage aired. It wasn't. Investigations later showed it cut the tsunami's force by nearly 40% and delayed it by roughly 6 minutes. 6 minutes that let people in parts of the city actually get out. Success stopped meaning no water got through. It started meaning how much energy was removed, how many minutes were bought, how many people escaped because of them. That redefinition led to the most expensive coastal defense program in Japanese history. Whole neighborhoods were gone. Officials proposed raising the land, moving towns uphill, building higher walls, redesigning ports and roads. Not everyone agreed. Replacing a lifetime of ocean views with a 12-meter concrete barrier isn't a small ask. Many argued the money should go toward relocation instead, or that no wall could ever truly guarantee safety. Environmental groups warned about damaged ecosystems, fishermen feared losing access to the sea, business owners feared losing tourists. Architects said the walls erased centuries of coastal identity. Residents started calling them the prison wall. Survivors, though, remembered people who almost escaped, who needed just one more minute. Supporters had one answer for every objection. What if that view costs another 20,000 lives? There was no clean choice here. Only two different kinds of loss, the coastline or the people beside it. Some fishing villages still weigh that trade-off today, which is exactly why no engineer wanted the wall carrying that decision alone. Remove the concrete tomorrow, and most of Japan's disaster response would still function, because the wall was never the primary defense. After 2011, engineers stopped thinking like builders and started thinking like military strategists. One barrier can fail, 5 independent ones are a different problem. This became Japan's multiple layers of protection. The same logic as an airport: security, screening, gates, the aircraft door. None of it perfect alone. Together, nearly impossible to defeat. The seawall's real job was never to stop the disaster. It was to make the next layer work. Seismic sensors detect an earthquake within seconds and estimate its size, location, and tsunami probability before the shaking even stops. Phones scream warnings simultaneously. Broadcasts cut in. Bullet trains halt automatically. Harbor workers evacuate. None of it depends on the wall, because the strongest concrete on Earth can't move a single person. Only information can. Then evacuation towers rise above flat coastal cities, some built to shelter thousands. Steel staircases and marked routes climb toward high ground. Elevated coastal roads double as escape paths once the ground floor disappears underwater. Millions of replanted coastal trees form a gray-green system that slows water and traps debris, standing alongside concrete rather than replacing it. And underground, out of sight, foundations are drilled meters into bedrock or unstable sediment, with drainage built into the walls themselves, so trapped water can't crack the structure from behind. None of it was ever about building the tallest wall. A wall that doubles in height doesn't get twice as hard to build. It gets exponentially harder, in foundation, in cost, in what happens if it fails. The goal became the smartest wall, not the biggest one. The stone markers, the forests, the towers, the sirens, the roads, the buried foundations. None of them are separate stories. They all solve one problem: buying time. Run it forward. An earthquake hits. Sensors fire in seconds. Warnings spread. Trains stop. Schools evacuate. Traffic moves inland. People climb toward high ground. Forests slow the water and trap debris. The breakwater weakens the surge. The seawall removes what energy is left and buys the last few minutes the next layer needs. Remove one layer. The system still holds. Remove several. The whole chain weakens. That's not just engineering. That's resilience by design. Before 2011, the mission was simple: protect the coast. After 2011, it became ensure society survives what the coast can't stop. Nature doesn't negotiate. Every wall eventually meets a wave bigger than the one it was built for. Accepting that, instead of fighting it, is what produced one of the most advanced disaster protection systems ever built. So, did Japan build an impossible 400-kilometer Great Wall? Not exactly. It built a wall that was never meant to stand alone. History taught it to fear the sea. 2011 taught it that concrete has limits. The controversy made clear that every solution carries a cost, and every sensor, forest, tower, siren, and reinforced foundation adds up to the same currency: minutes. 1 minute can save a school. 3 can empty a fishing port. 5 can evacuate a neighborhood. Those billions were never really spent on concrete. They were spent on time. And sometimes time is the only difference between a tragedy and a miracle. Japan's coast has become a living laboratory for disaster engineering, one that countries from Indonesia to Chile, the US to New Zealand are studying now. Not to copy a 400-kilometer seawall, but to learn the same lesson Japan learned the hardest way: the ocean will always be stronger than anything humanity pours in concrete. Japan's real achievement wasn't trying to conquer that. It was learning how to live inside it.